Hello, everybody, and welcome to another video today. My name is Chris, and today we're going to be going over the first round of David's Bridal locations closing now. Yes, this did come out yesterday, so it's a total of 278 locations that are up for auction. However, it seems that David's Bridal is going ahead and they're doing a situation that they're going to start auctioning off some of the locations first. Should a last-minute buyer arise between now and when these locations do close for the final time, the rest of the remaining locations will be saved. That is why it is indicated here, which is it's being done by A&G Real Estate Partners. So it has a total of about 278 leases. 229 locations will be auctioned in July, but however, if you subtract 49, get 229. So 229 locations will be auctioned off in July, and that's pretty much the remaining fleet of David's Bridal locations across the United States of America. Now, however, for the time being, they're not all closing right now. There is only a little bit of a handful to kind of give the courts and David's Bridal some time to potentially they can find a buyer and maybe save the remaining 229 locations. These are a lot of locations that maybe weren't doing so well for the company, so it seems that they're offloading them first, gives them a little bit more time to kind of go back and forth with the bankruptcy court, and to potentially someone could save this company and they could save the remaining David's Bridal locations. But usually when you do file for bankruptcy twice, there's no coming back. Let's look no further than Tuesday morning. But in the meantime, and for the sake of this video, so there was a total of 49 locations. Now, Chris, you might be asking yourself, hey, Chris, whoa, back up for a second. How do you know it's 49 locations? Well, if you look really closely on the list, you'll see here to be auctioned off in July. What this means down here is that this location is safe for now, and they're not closing it until July, which is next month, ironically enough. I still keep thinking it's May, but with the last day of May being in the middle, it kind of really threw me off. But anyways, so with that being said, let's talk about the locations that will be closing within the next couple of weeks. Now, see where it says private sale in June? That means that location right now has liquidation signs already up in the store. And I actually had a friend that sent me a picture yesterday showing that, and it perfectly matches up with the locations that did get announced. That they haven't really exactly made it out yet, but probably after this video gets out there and someone in the media gets their hands on the list, there'll be articles out of the wazoo of which David's Bridal locations will be closing. But private sale in June does mean that the location is confirmed to be closing. There is no saying about that. Now, in the reality of this, yes, all the locations will close eventually. It's just maybe this is giving more time for David's Bridal, A&G Real Estate Partners, and the bankruptcy court to kind of work together and say, hey, listen, we really don't want to close our stores. Maybe there's a way that they can save a couple of locations. But again, it's really just it really depends on what happens in the courts. But like I said, anywhere where it says private sale in June, that location is done. They're writing that off. It is closing. 100% confirmed that location is closing. If it says July to be determined, the location is safe for now, and it does mean that the location could potentially be on the chopping block in a couple of weeks. But anyways, so I'm going to stop talking now, and I'm going to go over the list of the David's Bridal locations that will be closing. And it is a lot of them, so brace yourselves if it's one of your local David's Bridal stores that are unfortunately going to be closing. So without further ado, let's get started on reading off the closing list. So, in the state of Alabama, we have the David's Bridal store in Montgomery, Alabama. In the state of Arkansas, we have the David's Bridal store in Jonesboro, Arkansas. In the state of California, we have the David's Bridal store in Chico, California, the David's Bridal store in Los Angeles, California, and the David's Bridal store in Oxnard, California. In the state of Colorado, we have the David's Bridal store in Colorado Springs, Colorado. In the state of Florida, we have the David's Bridal store in Pensacola, Florida, David's Bridal store in Port Orange, Florida, David's Bridal store in West Melbourne, Florida, that are going to be closing. In the state of Georgia, we have the David's Bridal store in Atlanta, Georgia, David's Bridal store in Columbus, Georgia, and in Hawaii, it's the only one, David's Bridal, that is closing. It's the David's Bridal store in Pearl City, Hawaii. In the state of Iowa, we have the David's Bridal, and by the way, Hawaii and Iowa are losing all their David's Bridal stores, by the way. David's Bridal in Davenport, Iowa, David's Bridal in Marion, Iowa, and the David's Bridal store in Sioux City, Iowa. In the state of Illinois, we have the David's Bridal store in Champagain, Illinois, David's Bridal in Lombard, Illinois, David's Bridal in Springfield, Illinois, and David's Bridal in Vernon Hills, Illinois. In the state of Indiana, we have the David's Bridal Store in Clarksville, Indiana, and the David's Bridal Store in Lafayette, Indiana. In the state of Kansas, we have the David's Bridal Store in Topeka, Kansas. In the state of Kentucky, we have the David's Bridal Store in Paducah, Kentucky. In the state of Louisiana, we have the David's Bridal Store in Bossier City, Louisiana. In the state of Massachusetts, we have the David's Bridal Store in North Dartmouth, Massachusetts. In the state of Missouri, we have the David's Bridal Store in Columbia, Missouri, and the David's Bridal Store in St. Petres, Missouri. Or I think that's St. Peter's or St. Petres, Missouri. I'm not sure. Probably pronounced it wrong, but I apologize. In the state of Mississippi, we have the David's Bridal Store in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and the David's Bridal Store in Tupelo, Mississippi. In the state of Montana, we have the David's Bridal Store in Billings, Montana. In the state of Nebraska, we have the David's Bridal Store in Lincoln, Nebraska. In the state of New York, we have the David's Bridal Store in Blasdell, New York, and the David's Bridal Store in Horesheeds, New York. In the state of Ohio, we have the David's Bridal Store in Mayfield Heights, Ohio, David's Bridal Store in Strongsville, Ohio, David's Bridal Store in Westchester, Ohio. In the state of Oregon, we have the David's Bridal Store in Eugene, Oregon. In the state of South Carolina, we have the David's Bridal Store in Spartanburg, South Carolina. In the state of South Dakota, we have the David's Bridal Store in Rapid City, South Dakota. In the state of Texas, we have the David's Bridal Store in Albine, Texas. David's Bridal Store in College Station, Texas, David's Bridal Store in Corpus Christi, Texas, and David's Bridal Store in Hearst, Texas. In the state of Utah, we have the David's Bridal Store in Layton, Utah, and the David's Bridal Store in Orem, Utah. In the state of Virginia, we have the David's Bridal Stores in Hampton, Virginia, and the David's Bridal Store in Roanoke, Virginia. In the state of Vermont, we have the David's Bridal Store in South Burlington, Vermont, and finally, in the state of Wisconsin, we have the David's Bridal Store in Madison, Wisconsin. So once again, just to reaffirm everyone's thing, these are all locations that are having the private sale, which is why if you go to one of these locations now, you will see a closing sign outside of the David's Bridal Store. And yeah, so that's pretty much going to wrap up this video. I do wish nothing but the best for the people that are going to be losing their job in this first round of closing stores. But again, just to reaffirm everybody and just to make sure that everybody's on the same page, anywhere where it says auction date, private sale in June, they began liquidation yesterday. And where it says July to be determined, it's either they're going to work something out with the courts and keep 229 locations remaining open, or they will eventually liquidate those stores and maybe continue to break down the list as time does go on. But for the sake of this video and for the time being, 49 to 47, 49 David's Bridal locations will be history after June of 2023. So anyways, guys, thank you again for watching this video. Link to both the Dropbox thing from A&G Real Estate Partners as well as the list that I have created on Google Docs will be located in the video description below, so you're definitely going to want to click on that just to reaffirm everything that is going on with David's Bridal. So anyways, guys, thank you again for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed this video, and yes, if there are more locations that do get announced, you can expect another update video to the existing video. So anyways, guys, thank you again for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed this video, and that will be it.